Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man! A couple years ago, I started a series where I listed off my top 5 S supports for every character in Fire Emblem Awakening. Unfortunately, I had to take down the videos I had done due to a required change of video format, and the series was cut super short. Today, I will be rebooting this idea with Fire Emblem Fates. At this point, I have put even more time into Fates since there are many more characters, and hopefully we can finish before the release of the next new Fire Emblem game. Like the Awakening series, I'd like to start with my most used character, the male avatar. Now, please keep in mind that these opinions are entirely my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of anyone else. That being said, I will not be including any of the siblings on this list. All the siblings are great characters with deep-rooted connections to the avatar, good support conversations, and even some cute S supports. However, I just can't get over the relationship they already have established as siblings. You find out pretty quick in the game that the Nohrian royals are not your true brothers and sisters, but even so, you've been raised your whole life under that belief. So to suddenly take that relationship and turn it romantic is a little strange to me. And relationships with the Hoshiden royals are even stranger. You're introduced to the Hoshiden siblings as your real siblings, and that concept doesn't change at all until the S support. It comes across as this big, out of the blue, hey, BT dubs, we're not actually siblings, wanna marry? For these reasons, I myself just can't get into these S supports. Additionally, just like the Awakening series, I'm generally not a fan of pairing up the avatar with any of the child units. I can't get past the idea of Corrin hooking up with his friend's children, especially since none of the other units of the parent generation do so. With those stipulations covered, let's finally get on with the top 5. Number 5. Effie. The Avatar is an agreeable guy that's pretty open to going along with whatever anyone else is doing. Because of this, all the supports with Corrin work well, but in some cases don't feel all that special. But one of the ones that I think makes a good transition into romance is Corrin's support with Effie. The basis of their support is simple enough. It's just learning about Effie's life story, which is pretty fun within itself. Along with Effie's supports with Elise, it's the most of Effie's backstory we get. Where it picks up is in the A support, where Effie says that, through her talks with the Avatar and fighting side by side, he has become an important part of her life like Elise, and thinks they make great partners. I mean, wow! For Effie to compare her relationship with someone else to her relationship with Elise is a pretty big deal, given that her life is pretty much dedicated to Elise. I think this makes a very smooth and natural progression to their S support, where they finally become a couple. Number 4. Rinkah. Besides the siblings, there are only a handful of characters the Avatar spends a significant amount of interaction with within the main story. Rinkah is one of those characters. Even without their support conversations, we see Corrin and Rinkah converse a lot in different parts of the game's prologue, and their connection is particularly strong when recruiting her in Revelation, where she proclaims her belief in you and swears her loyalty. This moment alone makes me love the relationship between Rinkah and the Avatar. The support conversations are about Corrin learning the customs of the Flame Tribe, and why Rinkah doesn't interact much with other members of the army, which eventually leads to the Avatar breaking down some of her social walls with his own ideology. Even when I don't pair up Corrin and Rinkah, I love having them reach A support, just because it gives a reason for Rinkah to open up to other supports with other characters. And when I do pair them up, I think their understanding of each other through their support conversations, combined with their interactions in the story, make for a wonderful S support. Number 3. Flora. In general, any of the S supports between retainers serving under the same lord or retainers with their lord work really well, given their pre-established relationship and history, and Flora with Corrin is no exception. The two already know each other pretty well, given that Flora has served the Avatar as a maid for many years, but unlike Corrin's incredibly personal relationships with Jacob and Felicia, Flora was always a little more distant, acting much more like a servant than a friend. Because of this, Corrin and Flora's supports are all about establishing that connection, with the Avatar expressing concern over Flora's well-being, and Flora finally opening up more about her true feelings. All in all, it makes for a cute S support about two characters that have always known each other, finally getting to know each other. Number 2. Felicia. Like Flora, this is another relationship between Corrin and one of his retainers. The difference is that, like Rinkah, Felicia has many more interactions with the Avatar within the main story. In fact, for the male Avatar, she probably has the most. Felicia is the woman who is always by Corrin's side. She's with him at the beginning, she seeks him out when he goes missing, she doesn't hesitate to join him regardless of what side he picks, and she continues to aid him in any way she can throughout the game. The support conversations themselves, more or less, just show off the connection that Corrin and Felicia have, along with a bit of insight on why Felicia is so motivated to do what she does. There are specific moments within these conversations, along with their conversations within the story, that stand out to me as great build-ups to their S support, particularly the end of their B support, and when Felicia rescues the Avatar at the beginning of the Conquest path. Between all these things, I believe that Felicia is, by far, one of the best S supports for Corrin. Number 1. Azura. If there's any S support with even more substance to it than Corrin and Felicia, it's Corrin and Azura. For one, these two are the main characters of the game, and as such, we see them constantly interact with each other, especially in the Revelation path. We see multiple cutscenes between the two, tons of dialogue, and on top of it all, 3 entire sets of support conversations. That's right, unlike anyone else, Corrin and Azura have a different set of support conversations for each one of the 3 paths in the game, and they're all good. While completely different, each of their supports delves into the feelings and beliefs of both Corrin and Azura, and even offers a bit of change of mindset or character growth for both of them. There is just so much going for this pairing. Azura joins you no matter which path you take, both Corrin and Azura have similar backstories, Azura is the one who helps you control your dragon form, it goes on and on. This is the pairing that reminds me of Chrom and the female Avatar in Awakening, the 2 characters we see the most of, who interact the most, and have the most connection. To me, this is the pairing of Fire Emblem Fates. Now, the rest of this section is going to be spoilery stuff pertaining to the end of the Revelation path, so if you haven't played it and don't want to be spoiled, stop here. The one questionable thing about Azura that gets brought up is the revelation that she and Corrin are cousins. Ordinarily, yes, this fact would probably bug me enough that I wouldn't support this as support so strongly. However, there are a few factors about this revelation that make me overlook the 2 being cousins. 1, they were unaware. Corrin and Azura have such a strong connection in the Revelation path that, often for me, they reach S support just chapters within the story, long before either of them could ever know. 2, in many cultures, cousin marriage is 100% acceptable. I'll admit, I still think it's a little weird given the culture I grew up in, but in Hoshido, this is okay. 3, the real biggest concern about this type of thing is the genetic diversity, and given that Azura is completely human while Corrin is a dragon, it's probably fine. And that ends my top 5 S supports in Fire Emblem Fates for the male Avatar. Let me know what you think in the comments below, which pairings are your favorite, and next time we'll cover the female Avatar. In the meantime, let me know which character you'd like to see next for this series, and I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.